Well, it's been a challenging few years as we've shouldered the weight of a global pandemic. And yet, here we are, emerging out on the other side of it. We can even possibly say that we can see that image fading in our rear view. Or can we? In fact, HIV, the epidemic, is now creeping into its 5th decade. But what once was a death sentence, now, for people living with HIV, can be a long, fulfilling life. And we are about to take a deep dive into the testing that has made that all possible.
Being able to shift my own narrative around HIV, it saved my life. I became a part of a research study through Emory University, where they were pretty much looking at the sexual behavior of Black queer men in Atlanta, or men who have sex with men. So I took the test, answered the questions, and the researcher comes back in and she says, well, Alfonso, your HIV test came back preliminary positive. And in that moment, I just feel myself sink. My viral load was so high that they were like, okay, you have to get on something now.
Every 30 days, I would go to the doctor. They would check my viral load and my CD4. I don't think I really understood what was going on at the time, but what I did know is that as long as I kept taking my medication, I would live. I was able to see my viral load go from in the thousands to the hundreds to undetectable. And that was life-changing for me.
When I would get the lab results back and see that my viral load was, okay, I was at 500,000, now I'm at 20,000, and it's like, okay, that's not perfect, but it's decreasing. It's getting better. It made me feel like I achieved something for myself. Woo. And being able to shift my own narrative around HIV was so, it saved my life.
When I discovered Alfonso and Jamel's story, it inspired me to dive deeper and to learn more about those not only living with HIV, but living normal, healthy lives. I met with Dr. Ada Stewart to discuss how physicians help patients and the importance of testing.
You talk about how best for us to ensure that, number one, you know your status. Whether it's positive, negative, one needs to know their status. And once you know that, then you can look at, if you are negative, how best to make sure you stay negative.
Okay. If
you're a positive, how best for you to get into care and to become healthy and to become undetectable.
Why is getting the viral load so critical
So that is how we end up monitoring our patients. As we talk about, U equals U, undetectable means untransmissible. This gives us a guide. I tell patients that once your viral load is so low within your body that it can't be picked up on, normal testing, then that's the goal, because that means that virus cannot be transmitted to someone else. It's really important to have that reliable test, because that is a way for me to be able to have that conversation with my patient to ensure that, yes, you are undetectable. Having that test that is truly reliable, that I can count on, having a lab within my facility, within my four walls, is really critical in that I am able to test, I am able to monitor my patients and ensure that they remain healthy. Being able to access those test results is really important, and it just helps us to be able to really take care of our patients to the fullest of our ability.
After speaking with Dr. Stewart, I realized just how important testing is to ensuring a healthy life. Considering the importance of both diagnosis and viral load testing, the Aptima HIV assay is a game changer. I went to San Diego to visit Sangeeta Nair at Hologic, who was instrumental in the development of this groundbreaking assay.
Doing HIV testing around the world and also the high throughput offered by this assay makes it a valuable tool for use in labs around the world to help meet that goal to end the HIV epidemic.
I also imagine it's a game changer in terms of the workflow for people in the labs. Not just a game changer for the patients out in the field or for the physicians, but for the lab technicians in terms of what you were mentioning, what it used to be like when we were testing, versus now they have this dual claim test at their disposal, and it changes the way they function, the way they work, night and day from what it used to be 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's a great change in workflow, freeing up people to do other things, and also the traceability provided by the automation on the Panther system, the random access where they can keep adding tubes of samples as they come into the lab and not needing to batch the testing really improves the turnaround time, the throughput of the test, and all the sensors and things on Panther, which make sure that the test is being performed correctly. The software that reports the results and communicates with the lab information system. There are so many aspects to this test as well as platform that make it a really good addition to any clinical lab.
Sangeeta really opened my eyes to the importance of Hologic's Aptima HIV-1 QuantDx test. But what is the lab's perspective? How do they perceive the importance of this platform? I visited Foundation Laboratory in Pomona, California to get their thoughts.
Panther has really revolutionized our operation because it has streamlined everything, and it gives us the opportunity to do different parallel testing, different tests at the same time. And also by using one tube sample, we can do different tests on that single tube sample. And that's very, very important because sometimes the patient doesn't want to give more than one sample. So with that specimen, we can do a lot of different tests in terms of infectious diseases, and also we can do HIV, HCV on the same tube. And that is very important. But above all is the turnaround time. Within 2.5 to 3 hours, we can have HIV and HCV quant results out, which is never heard before. And simultaneously, yes. And that is very, very important for our operation because in some cases that we are dealing with infectious diseases centers, or we do some clinical trials, they want the results very quickly, and we are able to deliver that. Every day we process HIV and HCV quant results, whereas in other centers that can take 10 working days.
Wow.
For us, it's about 5-6 hours after processing.
5-6 hours versus 10 working days.
Yes, yes, yes.
After speaking with Dr. Jordan, I wanted to dive a little deeper into the key differentiators of Hologic's Aptima QuantDx assay. As luck would have it, I met with not only Alfonso and Jamel in Atlanta, but a couple of Hologic experts while in town for a conference.
The Aptima HIV assay is not the only nucleic acid amplified test on the market. However, we are the only one that uses our transcription-mediated amplification as well as target capture, which is very specific and sensitive. There are over 40 publications talking about our workflow as well as assay performance, and that is something that's definitely pointed out because, again, rebaselining is important. Physicians do not want to rebaseline. So it's not that your assay's better in detecting and going to give you different results. It's more of the automated platform and the ease of use of the platform and the workflow for those technicians that are running these tests and many other tests every day.
When you're utilizing an assay, whatever it is that you're testing for, it needs to be incredibly sensitive and specific. And what we see from our data is that it is. the assay that we're talking about today is incredibly sensitive and specific, and it's very reproducible. That's also a very major component when we start looking at this from a laboratory's perspective. And the importance of that is to make sure that you're providing continuity of care for patients. It's making sure that you're providing them accurate diagnostics so that they know what condition they have and what sorts of treatments they need to pursue. Another thing to expand on is, for example, when you compare our assay to some of our competitors, there's a lot of data to support and demonstrate that this assay is just as sensitive and specific as any other assay that's on the market. And again, you don't have to re-baseline.
Sexual health goes beyond just HIV. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that because HIV is the message that's just pushed out so much. But it's extremely important that when you see your provider, yes, get that HIV test, but get a full panel. Ask for a full STI, STD panel because that's going to give you not just a narrow look at your sexual health, but it's going to let you get a full idea of what's going on inside of your body.
Is there any bit of wisdom that you'd like to impart before we dive into our delicious cupcakes?
I want to thank the lab, the people that work in the lab, because they are able to provide information that is unseen to the eye. I encounter a lot of folks that either are afraid to get on antiretroviral treatment or want to take a break, and they say, well, I feel fine. And that's like, okay, I'm glad you feel fine. But the only way we would truly know what's going on inside is if you give us a little bit of that good stuff. So go see the vampire, go handle that. And getting that information is just pivotal for the people that work in the field so that we can figure out treatment plans, we can figure out what things we have to offer folks. But we wouldn't know any of that if we don't know what's going on.
I think I would just say, remember that those vials of blood are people. And that people matter. Thank you for the work that they do, because it really does impact humanity.
Well, Jamel, Alfonso, cheers to long, healthy, fulfilling lives. Bon appetito.
Wow, it's been quite the journey. Meeting some truly fascinating people, from the brilliant minds in Hologic to the courageous physicians in the field to the ever-inspiring people who've told us their equally inspiring stories of living with HIV. But there's one character that we cannot forget, and that is the Aptima HIV-1 QuantDx assay. To truly understand in precise detail someone's viral load and then tailor an antiretroviral therapy specific to that person is a game changer. And it's also a strong step in the direction of meeting the UN AIDS goal of 95, 95, 95 by 2030 through continuity of care and the science of sure.